Hey, welcome back to this next part of the video. All this stuff that we did last time, this is now all dried, okay? So what I did after it dried, I didn't want to put it on video because it really doesn't make any sense, but what I did was I took sandpaper and I leveled out all of this back end here. So it kind of flows smooth. So there's areas where the ground just flows into the rock areas. This all is nice even flow. And I brought it back into the foam back here so that it all transitions nicely. Took about maybe half an hour of sanding and I got all that done. Let's see, if I go a little bit closer you might be able to see it better. So yeah, so all those parts up there where the foam goes into the rocks, like over here for instance, right here, you know, it's a nice flow down. This isn't going to be rock, this will be dirt and grass and whatever else. So that's all done now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to paint this. We're going to paint all the rock faces to be what we need. So what I have is I have, and I only buy the cheap paints. I use the acrylic paints from Walmart. They work really good. They come in a squeeze tube, and I have 4 different colors here. So what I do is I have them over here in cups. So I have 4 colors of paints right here, and what I have is I have a green color. I fill the cup, maybe a little less than halfway, put a bunch of paint in there, and I just mix it up so it's just water. It's just basically colored water because we're going to paint these like a wash. See? And it just drips off. So I have a green here. I have a dark green right here. I have black right here. Just make sure they're mixed up good. You don't have any blobs of paint in there. And you have black. And then I have right here, I have a gray right here. And then I have a brown, it's like a burnt sienna brown. It's kind of a reddish brown color. So the main color for the rocks, they have to match all the other stuff that I've done. So the main color is going to be this gray. The black is to bring out the depth in the rocks. The green is for like moss and things that have grown over on the rocks. And the red is to show the rust, sort of the rust color in the rocks. So we're going to start with the black. And all we want that to do is we want that to run down into the cracks and crevices of the rocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this black and I'm going to just push this in and let it run. Don't worry about it being so dark. Just going to randomly, you want to get underneath the spots where all the shadows would be. Like that. We're not going to be too fancy with it. It doesn't have to be neat, doesn't have to be clean. This method of painting, you don't want it to be neat and clean. Just want to get it in there, all the crevices and spots and and I'm not covering necessarily every rock face. You want to go where all the shadows, mostly where the shadows are, but I'm kind of covering a lot of stuff here, and that's fine. Okay. So now we're going to take the gray and we're going to cover everything with the gray, and that's going to tone down the blacks. And we want this to just run everywhere. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dab up and I'm going to clear up some of this extra paint in the water. Just going to take a paper towel, pull that up out of there. Okay. Now, we're going to go really easy with the green. We're going to throw some green in there, just lightly. Just in spots. Like that. Now we're going to use the red, or the brown, the sienna brown. And wherever it looks too heavy, we can always change that. The paint's wet, you can do whatever you want with it. Now if that looks too red, we can go back to the gray, and we can just keep going back and forth with it until we hit the colors that we're looking for. Alright, so that's pretty much it for that. Now I'm going to come back through and I'm going to paint all the pink. We're going to paint that brown. And then we're going to have to let that sit probably overnight. We need this to dry really well, because the next step on this and these rocks, and you'll see what happens. They don't look like much right now, but they don't look like much right now, but what's going to happen is once we come back through and dry brush, those rocks are really going to pop out and look really good. So you can see the colors that are in there. And they're all subtle differences within the rock. And some of that looks rough, like right here, I'm looking. The camera is nice because I can kind of see things. Like the red's a little heavy through here, and we can tone that down like that. Yeah. You know, and anywhere else where it seems a bit heavy, we can tone it down just a touch like that. And that'll all blend itself to itself. See, we'll do it like that. And then we'll come back through. Alright, so now I'm seeing a little heavy green right here, right in this small area. So let's hit that with a little bit of gray again. Like that. That. Okay. See, and that tones down that green just a touch. It's very easy. This method, I came across this stuff I saw on the internet, and then my own configurations, my own methods, and I think it looks really good. So that's it for that. So now I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to go get my brown paint, and I'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll paint the ground. Okay, so now we're going to paint the ground color. That's just brown, just cheap can of paint. It's from Home Depot, acrylic paint. I use acrylic for everything because it's easy to work with and it washes off with water. Alright, so I started this with a foam brush, but sometimes I forget myself. So what I do with the brown, and this works much better, is I have another bathroom cup here, fill it half with water, and I dunk the brush in the water and then in the paint. And what that does is it allows it to spread much better. Okay, so that's the whole deal. So now we're all painted. Let me move this cup out of the way. Alright, so now we're all painted. That's what it looks like. And we'll come down into the rock areas. It transitions into that. And that's what we have. Alright, and we're back. It's now the next day. I've let this dry. So this is all fairly dried. So now we're going to dry brush it. So what I have is a little piece of newspaper with some of that same acrylic paint. And I'm going to put it on the brush, but just very little so you can hardly see what's on there. It's very small. And we're just going to lightly brush over, and I'm going to brush down. And that's going to bring out the highlights in the rock. Alright, so that's pretty much it. That's all you need. And the rocks look pretty darn good. So that's what we end up with. Just another look from the other end. So that's it for the rocks. Next step is ground cover. And that'll be for next time. So tune in next time. If you want to see more other stuff that I've done, visit my website at mikestrains.wordpress.com. You can also find me on Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, and Facebook. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.